In this episode, let us see the type of worships in Devi Upasana. Essentially, there are two types of Upasana in worshipping Devi. Before I proceed further, let us just look at some of the basic concepts in Hinduism about this. As I've been saying in my earlier episodes, that the ultimate principle reality or Brahman is essentially a principle and not with names and forms. As it is very difficult to concentrate upon an abstract principle without name and form, it was later found necessary, and so the worship of gods and goddesses with names and forms were introduced in Indian thought. This is but practical. After all, the essence of any philosophy lies in its achievability. Indian philosophy or Hinduism does not merely theorize, it tries to find out whether it is practical. In fact, the theory part comes later in Indian philosophy. Whatever has been practically found to be reasonable and practical has been formed as a theory based on the experiences of the people who have followed the procedure and realized the reality of Brahman. So, the names and forms have been introduced, and this is called Saguna Upasana. Why? Because you tend to concentrate more upon things which you like most. It is but human nature. So, in terms of relationships, we are emotively connected with certain relationships. It could be mother, or a daughter, or a woman, or a father, or a disciple, or a friend. Depending on your disposition as to how you are disposed in reacting to the relationship and the value you attach and the emotional involvement you have, the Saguna Aradhana is prescribed. If we tend to be more attached to your one's mother and try to be emotionally immersed in the thought about mother, the worship of Devi as mother is recommended. Similarly, the other types of relationships. Ultimately, when one immerses oneself in that thought, in a particular thought, he gets lost in this thought and he becomes one with the reality. So, this is the principle for Saguna Aradhana. It is actually a misnomer to say that Indian philosophy has a lot of gods and goddesses. They are only steps to realize the abstract principles. If you take the abstract reality as the underlying principle of the Vedas, the practical application can be found in Saguna Aradhana. Without Saguna Aradhana, there are also people who have meditated upon the reality as a principle as such, as an abstract principle as such, and this suits certain dispositions of people. So, this is followed basically in uh, a type of path of knowledge that is called Jnana Yoga. You are able to discern, number one, that the world is different from you, and as you develop further, you find that the world and you are one, and third, that you tend to believe that you are different from the universe is because of your nescience or your ignorance. You are able to distinguish between these two and concentrate mentally on these thoughts, and thus you get liberation or moksha or self realization or realization of Brahman. The path thus chosen is called Jnana Yoga. The other three yogas are Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. I will discuss in general about all of them in a separate episode and also explain each one of them as to how they are formed and which suits to whom. which suits which disposition. As far as the present episode is concerned, let me restrict myself to describing the different methods of Devi Upasana. In worshipping Devi, there are fundamentally two types. One is worshipping Devi as one with Shiva, that Shiva and Shakti are one and the same, and you worship. So that is, when you look at the Indian system of thought, you will find two types of energies are stated. One is kinetic energy, that is the energy in motion, and the second is potential energy, the energy that is capable of delivering results. That is, matter is also there, and mind. Mind here we mean by energy. So matter per se doesn't alone constitute the universe, and energy is also needed. But matter without energy becomes inert, that is Shava. Then energy alone cannot function because it needs a vehicle, that is a vehicle through which you can identify yourself, that is Shakti. Therefore, Shiva and Shakti are to be jointly worshipped together. So, when Shakti in the basic Sanskrit, the meaning is that Shakti means energy, whereas Shiva means name which indicates auspiciousness. For this context, it means one which is Jata, that which is inert. That becomes active only when the Shakti acts upon it. The process in which Shiva and Shakti are jointly worshipped in the sense that they are understood to be one and the worship is practiced, it is called Samaya. That is, you have the dormant energy in your Mooladhara chakra, and there are two ways of doing it. One way is identifying that as a part of Shakti. Shiva and Shakti are one and the same, and you concentrate upon it, and then you practice that process. That process is called Samaya. That is, this is Shankaracharya beautifully starts the Saundarya Lahari thus. Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yati Bhavati Sakta Prabhavitum Nache Devam Devo Nakalakujala Spandidumabhi Adatvam Aradhyam Ariyara Varincha Dibarabehi Pranadum Stotumba Katamagrata Punya Prabhavati. So this is the sloka which explains how this upasana is to be addressed. That is, you worship Shiva and Shakti together, understanding both are one and the same. That is, you are understanding the consciousness as such, which otherwise is raised from the Kundalini which is lying in your Mooladhara through the chakra. Here you directly address the consciousness because they are both one. The second process is that through which you practice this by following that principle whereby you raise the Mooladhara through the 6 chakras by energy modules. This is called Kaula Marga. This is called Kamala Marga, Kaula Marga. The first is called Samaya Marga. This Kaula Marga is explained thus in Sri Lalita Sahasranama. Kutala Komalakara Kurukulla Kuleshwari Kula Kundalaya Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita. The reality is one. Though there are various methods of reaching it, in Devi Upasana, there are two methods as I have explained before. One is identifying Devi and Shiva as one by directly concentrating upon the consciousness as such, without separating the Mooladhara where the energy is lying dormant. This is called Samaya. The second is the Kaula Marga. In Kaula Marga, what one does is, even though one knows that Shiva and Shakti are the same, for individual dispositions, it is found easier for some people to think of them as two and concentrate on the Mooladhara and then raises it through the six chakras and reach the Sahasrara. When you reach Sahasrara, you reach the ultimate concept of yoga through Tantra Shastra. That is, the cessation of modification of Chitta. So these are the two methods that are being practiced in Devi Upasana. And as an interpretation, we can find in the parallel in other philosophies also in Indian system. We find Purusha and Prakriti are the two principles. In Sankhya system, you find the evolution in 24 principles, of which two are the basic principles that is being said. Prakriti is nature and Purusha is the male principle, which is energy principle. So the Purusha and Prakriti, they come together. See, it is very difficult to translate certain words in Sanskrit. It is called not exactly touch. The Sanskrit word used is sparsha. They're just grazing upon, just flashing by. When they touch together, then the other tattva emerge. So these two energies, these two principles, Purusha and Prakriti, form one of the pivotal roles in the evolution of the principles which make up the world. So, to understand essentially in Devi Upasana that there are two types of Upasana. One is Samaya and another is Kaula Marga. Depending on one's own disposition, one can follow whichever they want to follow. Which means to say that those who believe in Advaita, the non-dualism of Adi Shankaracharya, it will be easier for them because of the conviction to follow the Samaya, and the others who basically follow the other systems like Bhakti Yoga, where they can immerse oneself in one concept, that is Devi to the exclusion of Shiva, that is also allowed. Because they are only concepts to discipline your mind and to enable you to realize the Godhood or Brahman or reality. In the next episode, I'll try to explain what are the sources one should refer to in matters of Devi Upasana. This is essential for a simple reason, in my opinion, that there are a lot of misinformation going about. People claiming that they are Devi Upasakas and they are doing that. There are authentic texts which one is supposed to follow under the guidance of Guru. We will see that later in the later episodes.